Wednesday morning. I love Wednesdays because some few hours from now, we'll see Thursday, the beginning of another weekend. And of course, that's why we're here. From now till 9 a.m., the team is ready. Amma is ready, Johnny is ready. Amma told me last night something I'll tell you at the end of the show. It's a very explosive thing. I'll tell you exactly what.
As for the things Bright says, I tell him, good morning, only you know.
Oh, me too. You have not right here.
I mean, I told you so many things, but none of them was explosive.
When
I think we're all in good spirit.
You will see
you
how.
know the explosive
nature. You see your true color.
Well, I don't want to see my true colors this morning. Good morning to you, Ghana, and thank you once again for joining us right here on New Day. As Bright said, we plan to rock your morning right from now till about 9 a.m. So don't change the station. This is the best station you get in the morning to rock your morning. So stay with us. Johnny, good morning.
Let's go. Good morning. How are you doing?
I was
born on a Wednesday, so I feel very excited.
Oh, okay, Kweku down.
Yes. No.
No, I don't give that to Johnny.
But Jacob Zuma is like Daniel and Lions Gen. I mean, Charlie, 8 times.
8 times. Undefeated. Undisputed champion.
Charlie, who is winning in Kenya? Is it Odinga?
Uhuru is winning, but Odinga is saying he won't take it. So
but he's always said that.
Yes, I know. It's nothing new. So we hope, he'll settle and realize.
But I'm happy with the peace and calm.
Definitely. Yeah.
I was told that somebody gave birth at a polling station somewhere. Another was killed somewhere. But
another died after voting.
Yes. It's been peace and calm. And
let's pray it continues. Basically, these elections, that's how they start. When the counting starts coming in, it is all calm and peaceful. And then when the politicians start disputing the figures, as we've seen Odinga and his team talking about. But I am glad that the Electoral Commission is assuring Odinga and his team that, look, you may be right in what you're saying, but what is happening is that the transmission system had broken down, or they don't even have the 3G system to transmit the results. But the what we call the fiscal document, the pink sheet, the pink sheet. So they will scan it, and then Odinga and his team will get to see the actual figures that display. The journalists don't even know the figures he's talking about. He's just saying that the figures don't match with what we have, but he's yet to let the commission know exactly.
But right, as for elections, when you become a Sergeant Lee and you sit and drink tea,
things will pass under your eyes.
It is well. It is well in Nairobi, and I'm sure they will pull through. I have always believed
that. Absolutely. But good morning to all of you. It's the 9th day.
Oh, today's 9th.
Yes, it's the 9th day of August.
This August is too slow.
Yes, no, it's fast actually. I mean, the guys are happy because Homo is coming. It's this weekend for the Gamashi folks. So
the 7th like that.
But if you start saying it's slow, it means the money is long finished. So you're waiting for the next batch.
Some people got their salaries, they put it aside. And yesterday I went through the Carnation Market. I saw people buying maize and palm oil and getting ready. They were buying Oda and Opoku and things.
I've never been able to drink that thing.
I
hope I gather the courage.
You should gather courage.
But don't miss tomorrow's
children of the land. gather courage.
The Twin Festival tomorrow. Don't miss it. You just decide to allow me to handle you the whole of tomorrow. I'll take you to the hub of the Twin Festival celebration. You will be marveled at what you do.
They should allow you to handle.
Just allow me to handle you.
Me?
As a
tourist. As for me, I don't want to allow to be handled.
As a tourist,
I'll be working. No, but Bright is then when Bright says these things, I have to take it with a pinch of salt. Anyway, guys, so it's another morning. Let's do headlines now. The Finder says grants telcos unified license. That's coming from Imani. Also, JJ is a hypocrite. He sees nothing good in anybody except himself. Charges Valerie Sawyer. She's the ex-deputy chief of staff. Also, fertilizer plants to be sited at Jomoro. That's coming from President Akufo-Addo. Then First Lady AMA supports Gamashi Homowo. And finally, IGP grabs 2-year contract. That's on page 2 of the Finder.
So there we have it.
Yes, you have your answer.
The Homo out there, and the supports usually would come in, from all quarters. People would donate all manner of things to them. But the key component of the festival is the unification of the people themselves. And oftentimes you find that towards that time, there's unity. Then right after that, you find people, and you wonder why and how these things happen. And because if royalty is supposed to be by bloodline, why else do we have people fighting themselves when they know that, okay, for example, I'm not supposed to be there? But That's how it happens.
Power is sweet. They also want to see
what
power.
happened,
That's why
Johnny?
they want to
I mean,
fight.
you have hit a nail right on the head. I am praying for a day we'll have the celebrations, and then the state will be able to put the past behind them. I mean, for all this while, the state has been fighting as to who is the rightful
heir to the throne.
And it is worrying for me. It is, because when I was a baby in class 2, then I heard of Niamugi. Is it the second?
Yes, the one who died.
Yeah, who died. Since then, I haven't seen any legitimate Gamanche, because any of them who steps on the throne is said not to be the rightful person. And so, for me, as someone who is enjoying the hospitality of the Gans, it's worrying. If you look at the Today newspaper, it is saying that 20 communities are barred from. I don't know exactly what it means. How do we celebrate a festival that is supposed to unite us in this unity? Okay, that's a worrying. And the Ghana state should think about it. The likes of KB Asante and Co., the Gadangbe people, I think that they should bring their people together, sit down, talk to them, and know that we all look up to them, because this is the capital of Ghana. So whatever goes on affect the entirety of the country.
You see,
so they should do something.
The style of leadership of the Ghana people, per social anthropology, is not a hierarchical style of leadership that the Ashantis have, where the Asantini sits at the apex and then it waters down to everybody, like a centralized system. Theirs is autonomous. So even though there's the Ga chief, his role is supposed to be secular and spiritual. Now, for festivals, he will be, but he can't leave and go and tell, say, the Adontin of the Ga state that don't do this or don't do that. And which is why we have a lot of those people, because everybody sees himself as the monarch of all his surveys within the corner that he has.
So maybe within them, they should start thinking about decentralization, or forming a system where there's hierarchy, in that one person sits at the top and subsequently everyone becomes a sub-chief. Because
a strong man
because when they think it's autonomous, everyone wants to have the power, wield the power. But when you decentralize, everyone has some of the power, then they can work effectively.
There are 7 quarters in Accra, or of Accra. Some of the quarters have been able to maintain their structure, and they crack the whip. If you mess up, they take you out and they bring in somebody who will bow to the dictates of the overlord. But there are others who just jumping and and as I say, look, royalty is by bloodline. You need to be a consanguine to be part of the royalty. So if you are not, I mean, my mom is Ga, but I wouldn't struggle with anybody over a Ga throne, because I know I'm not that. Okay, so what's the point?
But Johnny, the paper answers your question about the IGP, whether he was going to be retained, because he's hitting retirement age. The president has extended his contract by 2 years.
For him.
Yes, so he'll be on the throne for a while. So of
for
course
how many
he
years?
can 2 years.
2 years, okay. Well, I mean, usually
again subject to renewal.
Usually you get 2 years added onto your this thing, but then
so maybe he can fulfill his 2020.
Yeah, somebody whispered to me that if his colleagues, his primus inter pares, on the same wavelength with others who are also equally qualified. So some perhaps maybe expecting that after his tenure, they will get a chance to become IGP as well. The 2 years extension would mean that somebody, or maybe some of them, may never get the chance to become IGP,
because they would have turned 60 by then. Anyway,
but it is the duty of the president to decide who gets to become the Inspector General of Police. But the questions that we can also ask, I mean, that's the best we can do. What went into maintaining him? We're told from what we're getting that there was a project, or there is a project he started that he needs to continue to a conclusion. That's why he was maintained. But then again, we ask, was it necessary to have appointed someone we knew in the next 6 months was going to go on retirement next 1 year? Okay, what might have gone into it? So these are questions that we can only ask as citizens. And of course, the president's duty is to do the appointment. So once the president has said, well, I'm giving you another 2 years, it means that he has trust in him, he knows he can do the job. And we're only praying that indeed he does the job, because already people are asking that the IGP should do more than what he's doing now, because there's so much indiscipline by way of security, and he is responsible for that. And so we're praying that the 2 years that is given to him will encourage him to to work harder and get his men.
Definitely. I mean, it puts more pressure on him because if you've been extended for a reason and you don't fulfill your mandate, then exactly, there's so many questions that will go into it. And looking forward, then should we be discussing it where we don't employ people or we don't give people who are nearing retirement age these high positions because you put them on a 2-year contract, like he said, someone who's subject to him who thought he may fit in that position loses the opportunity.
Somebody sent us a text message yesterday or suggesting that we peg the retirement age at 50 so that some older folks can go.
Uncle Bright would be sitting home by now.
And then another person, because there have been reports, even in the government sector, that there are people who are due for retirement and they don't want to go in. They would go and swear an affidavit and alter their date of birth and stay on. It's a reality. It happens across. Now, the IGP doesn't look like his age.
No.
I least expected him to be close to.
No, you know, security men.
Exactly.
He always fit.
Exactly.
But we have others who have stomachs lead preceding them. So
who have their stomachs taking the comfortable lead. So, but my key concern about this is whether or not the IGP, because if he is not able to finish the project in 2 years, we must have a blueprint. So whoever becomes IGP picks on from where he left off and pushes on. And that, for me, has been a bigger problem. We've been talking about the 40-year development plan. Have we been able to even conclude on the 40-year development plan? We had a lot of talk about it, Dr. Nimoy Thompson and his people. Since the change of government, what has happened to it? We don't know what it is. So if you ask me as a country where we're going, I don't know. Because MPP comes, they have their own plan. NDC comes, they have their own plan. PPP will come, they will have their own plan. And you're wondering. But if like we have what they call the American dream, and we know we're going from here to say Choco or to say Damongo. We know that the end is Damongo. How we get to Damongo is not a problem. But we know that the destination is Damongo as Choco. You know, so we need
in 2 years he doesn't fulfill his mandate, we'll extend it again?
I doubt.
Anyway.
Well, it's a
but that rests with the president.
Yes, it rests with the president. Let's see what
anyway, so the Independent also says, I never said I'll ban mining. That's coming from President Akufo-Addo. Then Togo opens border 24/7. And then finally, Ghana delivers first the walking egg in vitro baby.
What's that?
Okay.
The baby came carrying egg?
No. It says Ghana has become second after Belgium to deliver her first baby through the walking egg in vitro fertilization method. The pregnancy and delivery of the baby boy at the Pentecost Hospital at Medina and Accra was achieved after 3 attempts by the couple. Basically, it was the TWE technology, which is the walking egg technology, is one of the in vitro fertilization methods under which the sperm of the man and the egg of the woman are fertilized outside the womb between 2 to 5 days, after which the egg is given back to the woman to carry through pregnancy till delivery.
So it's a test tube baby.
What they call it? Is it the first?
This will be the first in Ghana.
So some time ago, didn't I hear, is it Nabita in Tema also talking about the same thing? That there's a test tube baby somewhere?
Yes, but I think the method they used may not be the same as the walking egg technology.
So this is a baby who was not conceived in the womb?
Yes.
Kind of Jesus Christ.
He was started. A kind of Jesus Christ, really.
In Jesus Christ,
he was started right from the womb.
There was an angel.
Except that there was no mating.
Yes.
So this one, there was no mating.
When you say there was no mating, the egg and the sperm mates now.
So it's possible,
but there was no
that the mother of the
contact.
baby could have been a virgin as of the time that the baby was formed.
Yes, it could be. Okay. But they're couples, so we're assuming they're consummated.
The woman is as scared as Harriet is.
Please.
No, but so I'm saying if it's a breakthrough, well, it's good.
Yeah,
I mean, in our society, I mean, you are an Asante and I am a Fanti Johnny Seka. You know how being childless is such a big issue in this part of the world. I don't believe that. I don't care if I don't have a child. I get to spend my money on other things. But it's a big issue here. So for couples who have been fighting all this while about babies, sometimes their marriages are broken down, sometimes they have issues with their husband's family, they are described as witches and have chewed all the kids in their stomach. And if it's not expensive,
You should go for it.
Right.
Then
definitely
it's
is
good.
expensive.
But I'm wondering how much it will cost to have this done. I don't know if I can.
TWE from from 20,000 Ghana cedis per cycle to about 6. Obviously, that should be 60,000 to make it affordable for all childless couples.
But if it costs you an arm and a leg, and you get a head and neck, a leg, stomach,
you take it like that.
But
everything else.
20,000 it's not easy to raise.
And you start doing susu. You see, from the day you get married,
that's why
you start doing
10
susu.
years.
You see, but again, this is obviously because of what our society thinks. Because if we migrated to a place where we thought being childless, I mean, it's God's prerogative to give couples children. If you thought not having a child was not deadly, I wouldn't put so much money into that. You could adopt. I mean, there's so many adoptions.
Anyway, I also believe in that. I mean, adoption is good. People should just learn to believe that the next person sitting beside you is a brother, is a sister. It could have been your daughter or your son. Exactly. And so you don't need to have a biological son or daughter to say that this is my son or daughter. I think when you have difficulty, I would prefer, if my view, 60,000 cities to an adoption. I prefer adoption.
You know, people are related by 3 ways: consanguines by blood,
we are all
fictitious by adoption, and there's another one by
Johnny.
So it doesn't matter.
Johnny, if we were to take the story of creation to the beginning, aren't we all related?
We are related. Yeah.
Where are we from?
But that's if you believe the creation story. Some believe in the evolution story.
Charles
Darwin.
Even if it's the evolution,
we all came from one big story.
Was it not just one person who came out and why everyone evolved?
Some people do assume they think that they were dropped into.
But even if they were dropped, that's what right is saying. It's one big stone that dropped. We all came from it anyway, guys. Let's do portals.
Let me quickly say a happy birthday to you, Mrs. Setina Finwalker. It's from Reverend James Finwalker of Northgate Baptist Church, Winneba, and your children, Christabel, Jeffrey, and Papa Kwetri. God bless you and remain the best mom and wife that you are. This from one of our big women here, Babina Finwalker.
Oh, so, you mean she's big in size?
No, those
big
are words, please. I
know
what you're saying.
No.
You're scared to
big
I'm not scared.
Johnny is scared to hurt Asiedu director Babina, but I'm saying that Babina is big in size.
But you are
but that was not Johnny's perspective. He was saying big as in position.
Okay.
She's a big woman.
I'll carry my cross. Babina is big in size. Babina, good morning. I hope you're doing great. You and the kids.
Anyway, so let's check the portals. A Methodist Church throws caution on towing levy, Galamsey fight. The Methodist Church has been consistent. I mean, when the Galamsey thing started, now they've added the towing levy thing. Well. But there you have it.
Johnny.
Yes.
I've always told my churches that they should take the issues to the pulpit. Don't throw it into the media. The people who read the media, you can easily see them on Sundays. But when they sit there, tell them in the face. Don't put it in the media.
Of course,
they tell them, then the spill-off is what we get in the media.
They know that. Pick
the cane. The Galamsey people are those who attend the churches and give the big offering.
When they bring the money, they say it's Galamsey money won't collect.
This is the Methodist Church in the Ashanti region. So I'm sure the priest knows those who are involved in Galamsey. They come to church to give fat donations. You should tell them, Chief, that's what I'm saying.
And you shouldn't collect
even the towing levy. Those who leave their
collect it and prove it becomes gospel.
Those who leave their vehicles on the road, they attend.
They are church. Sometimes they park there to attend midweek services and all of that.
There's a church around the Nkrumah Circle. On Sundays, use the interchange and you want to join the. There's a road they call the road that will get you to.
And there's Bruce?
No. No, the former, Vodafone. If you're from Accra.
I've seen that church.
Yes. And they've actually taken over the road.
I've seen that church.
On Sunday.
I've seen that church.
Many churches do that.
They park anyhow. They take the whole road so that if you have to go through the Akasanoma road to join Vodafone,
you wouldn't get the
you have only a single lane.
I've seen that road.
And even around East Legon, I mean, in the mornings, you see they've taken half the road. And I wonder, I mean, if you're supposed to do the right thing. You're a Christian.
That's what I'm saying.
God knows what is right and what is wrong. Why would you then park in the middle of a road, block the road, and think you're going to church to do right?
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
And country plan.
Okay, all right.
It just doesn't gel.
Okay.
Anyway, so IGP gets 2 more years at post. That's it, Mr. David Asante, is it Apietu or Apietus?
Apietu.
Okay,
ends with an U.
So anyway, Francis Estelle Rafai denies Janet Amponsa place in 200-meter service. Yeah. But she did very well.
She did well.
Very, very, very well.
Her time was quite good.
Very well, very well.
I'm the only one who can beat her in Ghana now.
Oh, right. Very well, very well. So that's from the ongoing IAF. Public sector layoff, a ploy to employ MPP supporters, Spio Gabra said. And he made the statement on 3FM 92.7 yesterday on the Sunrise Show. He says that...
Does he have evidence?
Well, I mean...
Well, he's just talking as a politician?
Yeah, well, I mean, he wears many hats, so...
no, but if the senior minister says that the public sector is choked and we cannot continue to pay, the public wage bill is huge. And so the only way to make it effective is to lay off people and then rather enable the private sector to create the jobs. And then you come in and say that, well, they just want to lay people off so they can employ MPP people. You need to have
evidence. But Bright, you see, it's the same question people are raising about other issues. You want to take people off the public sector and put them and encourage the private sector to pick them up. But how strong is the private sector? Coming on the back of the 3-year doomsday that we had, a lot of businesses have collapsed. They are trying to reorganize and come up. So will they be ready to employ people?
All that's the people you are laying off.
And Johnny, have you thought about it? When we started this Fourth Republican Constitution, from Mr. Rawlings to today, what we have done is to say that the private sector is the engine of growth.
That's a cliche.
Is it indeed?
No.
Are we perhaps not doing something wrong?
Definitely.
Because if for 20 years we're trying to rely on the private sector to carry this country to the next level and we are not getting it, is it possible that we're doing something wrong?
Yes,
it is.
It's
not possible. It's a reality that we're doing a lot of things wrong.
I don't think there's any other government that has gone away from the fact that they want to push the private sector to carry this country's development through. Up to now, 20 years and more, the private sector has not been that sector that can give us the jobs we need. So perhaps someone should think about it. Should we change the private sector and begin to talk about
most of the private people who are able to employ folks are people who are either some are evading taxes or they are doing some other
their own thing.
Yes, but if you set up a small company, you want to pay your EMA business operation permit, you want to pay your GRA and everything else, electricity, your landlord, your everything.
You can't make it.
You can't make it to want to pay people. It doesn't really. But here's the talking drum. Solomon Mensah, 3FM. It says, lest we forget, did a Greek minister lie over fall army worm victory? I think yes, because what the farmers are telling us on the ground, using detergent, salt, and pepper to flush the worms out. Where did the 20 million investment in the chemicals go? And at the time he's made that comment on the floor of Parliament, and then the farmers said otherwise. I thought Parliament will summon him. Now Parliament is going on recess.
They're coming back in 3 months.
Yes, but he said that the fall army worms have been defeated. And the farmers say, no, it's not been defeated.
Johnny, can we also say that it's just pockets of the worm in certain places? We know our correspondents have been to the north, upper east, upper west, the northern region, and they talk about some farms with the worm. Is it possible that perhaps he said he's won the fight, but there are still, and he said that there might be pockets of the worm invading some parts of the country.
I think these are more than pockets, because right from the start, we knew that the north was the most hit and most affected, and this is where we get most of our food. So even for me, if you get one northern farmer complaining, that's a big issue.
Then the worm is there.
Yes, because then obviously they don't stay still. It's not because you find them in this pocket, they are going to be there till whenever. They're going to move from one farm to another and eventually destroy.
And you know that farms don't have walls. So farms don't have walls, and so if it affects my farm and it's done with it, the next farm is yours. And the next farm is yours.
And our own Eva Atibuka came back from the north and said that there is another worm, that's the tape-like worm that etymologists have seen. They are trying to take a look at it and see if indeed it is an offshoot of the army worm or something.
We'll take a break, but you know that ambassador at large.
He's also gotten one.
No, he's not. Ambassador at large belongs to the PNC party. The PNC's had challenges. Atiq Mohammed is challenging his suspension, and the leadership have been invited by the police for investigations because Atiq Mohammed says it's illegal. But I took a look at the PNC's constitution, Article 67(1) and 3, and it says that if you feel aggrieved by any decision of a disciplinary committee, there are processes. Atiq Mohammed didn't go through those processes. He wrote straight to the National Council through his lawyers. But you're supposed to have gone through the disciplinary committee, then another, I think about 4 steps or so.
Before you get to the national.
But he jumped. So while he was complaining about what was illegal,
he was also involved in illegal activities.
What does it mean if you jump?
Well, I don't know, but
we'll have to decide.
We'll see.
I'm wondering if one morning, 5:30, I get to this news hub, the studio, and then the door is locked. I'm told that they've changed the lock.
What would you do?
You go home.
You go home and sleep.
Really? Anyway, guys.
So have to go GMB Queens, we'll go for a break. But the GMB
the ladies
Queens
are here.
Yes, they're gathering up for real business with a trip to Bojo Beach Resort. And look, I saw some of the videos. The chicks, they can enjoy. They can enjoy. I mean, chaperone. I'm surprised I didn't see you chaperone.
No, I'm beginning my journey when they get into the
house,
the complex.
Oh, but you should know what is happening. So
you know,
he's
Johnny,
ambassador at
you know, I have a lot of women in my house, daughters, and
so you are aware.
You know, it's exciting to live with women, except that you need to be really careful about them. You need to be a strong person to be able to contain about 5 of them around you.
What exactly do you do anyway?
Oh, not in the negative, because they will want to. They want to do what they want to do.
Right.
And so if you're not strong.
I like that bit, because when God put Adam and Eve together, Adam had to be strong because Eve, you know, don't go here, she's there. Don't pluck this fruit, she's plucking, she's feeding.
Because we are adventurous.
We need
to be adventurous.
So that the adventure gets overboard.
We'll take a break, we'll be back. Stay with us.
You're watching the news. My name is Wendy Lai. The West African Examination Council has barred some students who took part in the 2017 West African Senior High School Certificate Examination from taking part in any exams for 2 years for engaging in malpractices. Now, the council, however, says those who subject papers or entire results were cancelled would have the opportunity to take part in either the November, December private exams or the main June examination.
African Examinations Council withheld the result of 185 schools for alleged examination malpractices. Out of this, 31 schools were found to have been assisted by invigilators. Others were said to have smuggled mobile phones and photocopied answers into the examination hall. The Public Relations Officer of the Council, Agnes Tekujo, said investigations are yet to come to a conclusion. However, some sanctions have been meted out to candidates who have so far been found culpable.
We have cancelled some who have been found culpable, and others also have been let go because we didn't find anything against them. We also had some that needed the approval of the Ghana Exams Committee. Some of the candidates, because they brought in foreign material, had their subject results cancelled. Some also, because they received external assistance, had their entire results cancelled. And we also had some of the candidates who impersonated also having their entire results cancelled, and they were also barred for 2 years.
Though some have the opportunity to rewrite cancelled papers, it is likely this may delay their admission into tertiary institutions or may never get the opportunity to apply to further their education.
Now, if your subject results is cancelled, then you can retake that paper at any time that is convenient to you. Okay. If your entire result is cancelled, you can register and take all your papers at any time that is convenient to you. Okay. If your entire results are cancelled and you are also barred for 2 years, then that is when you have to wait till 2 years before you take any WAEC exam.
She revealed results for this year's basic school certificate examination will be released before the end of this month.
The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly Court has adjourned the case involving 13 members of the Delta Force to September 5, 2017. The prosecutor, ACP Asiedu-Dartey, told the court that although investigations have been completed, there's a need to give the Attorney General time to study it for advice.
Asiedu-Dartey told the court they are done with investigations, but a docket has been sent to the Attorney General's office for advice. He first prayed the court to adjourn the case to September 5, 2017 to give the Attorney General enough time to study the docket and advise them appropriately. The court, presided over by Mary Insentre, consequently granted the application. Lawyer for the accused persons, Matthew Appiah, expressed satisfaction with the progress so far.
It's now left with the advice. So maybe at the next agenda, hopefully, we know that the advice will come.
The 13 were arrested after they stormed the office of the Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator and allegedly assaulted him in the process. He was prevented from performing his duties and yanked from his office on Friday, March 24. They subsequently escaped from a Kumasi Circuit Court's custody after some of their members sparked confusion when they were arraigned and charged with conspiracy to assault a public officer and causing unlawful damage. The 13 accused persons have been charged with conspiracy to assault, assaulting a public officer, and causing unlawful damage.
Now to business, and the Bank of Ghana, BOG, has cautioned the public against depositing money with Men's Gold Company Limited, an investment company, because it has not been licensed to do so. Answering questions at the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament's second Deputy Governor, Dr. Johnson Isiama, warned clients they do so at their own risk.
The Bank of Ghana took its turn at the second sitting of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament on Tuesday. The Member of Parliament for Gomoa West, Alexander Kojo-Kom-Aban, quizzed the Deputy Governor if they have taken notice of the activities of Men's Gold Company Limited. The second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, told the committee though the company has been given approval by the Minerals Commission to trade in gold, the Central Bank has no license Men's Gold to accept cash deposit.
There has to be evidence that they are accepting deposits, thereby flouting our regulations. We will have to sit down with the respective agencies, and I've instructed that we need to work together to pin them down. Because if they are licensed to purchase gold, that doesn't have anything to do with us.
He cautioned the public not to make deposits to Men's Gold.
These people are not to accept deposits. If they ask you to give them money, don't give it to them.
The MP for Gomoa West, Alexander Kojo-Kom-Aban, insisted inviting people to purchase gold bars and managing it for them constituted banking. He, however, called on the Bank of Ghana and the Securities and Exchange Commission to intervene in order to avert a scandal like that of DKM.
They have already promised that at the end of the month, you are going to get so much in return. And in doing that, they do not even tell us whether what they have actually given out is gold, because after all, you are not taking it home. They have not also said what they are even going to do having regard to the price fluctuations on the world market of gold.
We now move to the labour front, where two major labour unions are asking for forensic audit into the number of staff and level of efficiency before any layoffs are done by government. Reacting to the senior minister's disclosure of layoffs, the Health Services Workers Union and Industrial and Commercial Workers Union say they will reject any layoffs if the auditing is not done.
Joint Negotiation Committee, comprising government and labor in 2016 and 2017, signed an MOU with government where workers will not be laid off. In that agreement, workers only accepted a 12.5% increment instead of the 30% it earlier tabled at the negotiations. Almost a year, Senior Minister Osafo Mafo, according to media reports, said government will lay off 1,500 workers in the public service contrary to the agreement. He was of the view the public sector cannot continue to recruit more hands, but government will rather create the enabling environment to allow the private sector to create jobs. The General Secretary of the Health Services Workers Union, Reynolds Ofosu-Tenkran, is however of the view any layoffs will not be supported by labor.
In the past, there was a redundancy exercise, and it never helped the workers. So we will not contain that. And once the previous government contained all the workers in the public service, it behooves on the current government to also accept them and work with them.
He again warned government not to rely on IMF conditionalities to lay off workers.
There was a redundancy package which was paid to them, but many regretted for collecting that package.
The Industrial and Commercial Workers Union ICU rather charged government to conduct a special forensic audit into the work output and number of staff in the service.
We have overemployed in the past. Look, we are having a situation where the over-recruitment has gone to a point people sit in the libraries of the organization, they sit at the waiting room for visitors. They are supposed to be staffed. They don't have tables and chairs to sit on. Some are running the hot desking. As soon as you get up, I sit on the seat, you come, you also have to stand like prisoners in the cells. This is what is happening in most of the public institutions.
The General Secretary Solomon Kote again proposed to government to offer contracts to those with institutional memory if the layoffs begin.
Until our public sector system works like how we are saying in the private sector system to maximize efficiency of every employee, we will continue to making losses that are avoidable and should not come on the table of government at all.
Well, I'm being forced by my studio director, Harriet, to hand over to you, Sui. So, take it away. I'm leaving.
The pizza joint we went to yesterday.
Oh, you
sent
the what?
Receipts. The pizza joint.
You were talking about pizza with George Quinn. No. AJ. AJ.
Oh,
because he has a compass.
Okay, so it really happened yesterday.
No,
you guys.
I have nothing to do with it.
Guys, she drank 2 glasses of smoothie now. The people have sent me the bill.
I see, Wendy.
I won't argue with you.
Thank you for accepting, and have a nice day.
Take it away.
You can call for another on Friday.
Anyway,
let's rant now. But have you noticed, guys, that Harriet actually played reggae music today?
I know.
And sang
for a moment,
along.
I actually thought it was someone else behind the console.
Yes, because Nee will play reggae and sing along. But
Harriet,
yesterday, Nee played gospel and sang along.
I know.
And Harriet is playing reggae and she's singing along.
The times are changing.
Well, we shall see.
It's not easy.
At all. Well, we're ranting. Of course, in recent lights, Ghanaians have been talking or discussing the founders, whatever the issue is. But we hit the streets of Accra to also hear what Ghanaians have to say about whether the founder or Founders Day is really necessary. Are we concerned about it now, or should we be looking at something else? Let's take a look at this.
The debate about our founding fathers seems not to die out anytime soon, as a recent celebration of the 70th anniversary of the UGCC has sparked another controversy. But a cross-section of people think Dr. Kwame Nkrumah has unnecessarily been glorified, downplaying the efforts of other founding fathers. But the question is, do Ghanaians care? Do you care about who founded Ghana? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
As a people, we always make references to who founded our nation. And those references, they are not made out of any desire to single out one person as a founder. Indeed, it is a fact that no single human being can found a nation. There are always people who even prepare the grounds for you to come. There are people who will be behind you. There are people who will push you. There are people who will cover you. At the end of the day, if anyone, let's say 30 years to come, children that don't know anything about all what you're talking about, they come and watch Declaration of Independence. They will ask, who is this man? Oh, Kwame Nkrumah. Oh, then he is the one that we can actually make reference to. And that is why the Indians will talk about Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah. Mahatma Gandhi was a lawyer in South Africa. So many things were going on. Pandit Nehru and all those people were fighting and doing all kinds of things before he even came in the scene. But they realized that you need somebody that will be the rallying point. Okay. Until you have that, then you don't have a nation.
Uncle Dave, we have Founders Day, but people are even saying that it should just be like not Nkrumah and then the other few people that supported. It should not really be Nkrumah just having a day for himself.
But you see, the interesting thing is that, yes, it's Founders Day. You realize that when that day comes around, they show films. Yeah. You don't see only Kwame Nkrumah in those films. Okay. You see so many other people in those films. They were people who actually worked with him, who supported him, helped him, led him, protected him, even when he was in prison. What should they also say?
Okay, but do you think we are rewriting our history if issues like this pop up?
History is history. If you are rewriting history, then it means you are telling lies. Okay. History is something that you can never change. Exactly. You know, so for instance, for you to say that, okay, if you say it's not Kwame Nkrumah who founded Ghana, or for that matter, we don't give that accolade to him. Okay. Who are you going to give it to?
It's very important. We need to know how many people fought to win independence for our country, Ghana. How the name Ghana came about. What actually accounted for Ghana, our independence, our self-reliance, among other things. It is very important. Yeah.
You know, there are founding fathers of Ghana, and it wasn't only Nkrumah who founded a whole lot of people. Some even lost their lives through the process of gaining independence. Okay. So it was a gradual process that was fought for every blessed day. Okay. It wasn't a one-day show. So, for instance, Asiedu-Dartey and others who even lost their lives. At least we should also consider them and give them.
We don't talk much about them.
We don't even talk much about them.
What's the whole fuss about it when things are hard? And we are saying clearly that, look, when you are supposed to fulfill your avalanche of promises to Ghanaians, they don't give a hoot. They don't give a hoot. Do you care? I know, see, for me, in a very hard economy, I don't care about who founded Ghana. Because the point is that you promise a lot of things. You are rather going to be rewriting history after we have learned history and we know that Nkrumah is the founder and you forever be the founder.
How much history do you know?
How much history? No, but you and I went to the same school. You studied history, and we know clearly that Nkrumah was the founder. J.B. Dankwa's popularity doesn't go beyond a footballer and a boxer.
I understand that knowledge is power. Exactly. So when you know, you are empowered. When you are
actually lying, you are actually lying. You are actually lying.
Asking me if Ghanaians do care.
They don't care.
Well,
they don't care.
Honestly, I have to say, Ghanaians honestly do care.
They
will need to know how independence came by. Listen, let me tell you. Frankly speaking, I have never taken the pain to go through history down the lane to find out how UGCC came about and all that until this very 4th August.
No, I mean, there's this section of people who are saying it's all about Nkrumah, and I think he's not the one who founded Ghana. There are people who support him.
Let me tell you.
And so the whole fuss about Nkrumah.
I think maybe partly because he was the first president, so he had a lot of spotlight on him. Because so many things were even named in his name. Probably because, clearly as I'm saying, he was the first president as well. So not because perhaps he founded Ghana, but as the first president, so he was having so many privileges as well.
This is what really happened. Nkrumah traveled out of Ghana in 1935. He came back into the country in 1947. Because J.B. Dankwa paid for his plane ticket to come to Ghana and help the UGC through history. Exactly. When he came, he was the only person on the salary. This guy was being paid, and now he's a founding father. He was being paid. The only person being paid. Imagine. That means there was a plan for independence or self-reliance before this guy was introduced. So if you want to tell me he's the only founding father, that means there was nothing like a previous effort. But there was something laid in plan.
But the point is that
what was that all about?
The basis is even on the currency. What the whole fuss about this founding father? How do we acknowledge? But the point is that there's only one founder, and that one founder is Asiedu Kwame Nkrumah. Look, the point is that no matter whether you pay the accommodation fee, the booking fee, it doesn't matter. You are so many people. You said you are busy. You said you are busy.
The name Ghana was even the name Ghana was even came about.
Even a financier or the founder was background. What the UGC constitution? The founder. Go and check the UGC constitution. Go and check the UGC constitution. It says that the founder, even a financier, is part of your Dankwa doesn't even come close. Nowhere. His popularity goes beyond Gideon. His popularity only ends at footballer and a boxer.
What you are saying,
the whole fuss about Nkrumah, what
I find Gideon's argument to be very shallow.
Very shallow.
I don't even know where he's saying. Nobody is trying to downplay on the fact that Kwame Nkrumah played an integral role in finding Ghana. All right? Nobody is trying to downplay on that. Not at all. But the whole thing is that it is not only Kwame Nkrumah who fought.
Nobody. You know, with the 70th anniversary of the UGCC, that was on Friday. You know, Samuel Nkrumah came out, and some few children of Kwame Nkrumah, they were saying that, you know, all these, you know, are to, you know, belittle Nkrumah's effort, and they were lamented.
Just because they want to shine or build their careers based on their father's achievements. Let the truth be spelled out. See, Nkrumah did his best. He was the first Prime Minister of Ghana. It is well noted. But the truth is,
was he appointed?
The truth is, he wasn't the only person who struggled to gain independence for Ghana. Well, how can we have the big six and then celebrate Founders Day on one person's birthday?
John Mahama won elections in Ghana. Was he the only person who struggled to win an election?
No, see, the point is
perfect.
Look,
if you mention, be realistic with ourselves.
If you mention,
be honest with ourselves.
Right? And they say Ofori was the one that founded Doesn't mean that he's the only founder. Stop, but there's only one founder. And the founders of Ofori, the point is that people okay. But doesn't make it. Let me chip in. You have the founder.
With this whole debate about, you know, founding fathers, don't you think we should just look behind our past?
Ghanaians don't care.
No. The truth is, we should set
if you don't know where you're coming from. How do you proceed in life if you don't know where you're coming from? It is only when we know it. Now, I know that somebody struggled some time ago so that we could get independence. All right? And I know that people laid effort. Now, as a youth, when I've also become a leader someday, I know I have to put in a lot of effort to ensure that we have a better Ghana. Simple as it is.
Nobody has said that only Nkrumah founded Ghana.
You just said that.
But there's only one founder.
You just said
there's only one founder. But people helped him. But there's only one founder. Look, you might have helped people to get somewhere. But there's one leader. The leader is Asiedu.
Nkrumah spearheaded independence. That means he led a team. You understand? That doesn't mean he did it on his own. There was a team. So if there's recognition, let's give it to everybody. That is him. Why do we just give it to Nkrumah? And say, I'm very disappointed in the NDC government, especially in the late president, for celebrating the Founders Day on one person's birthday. He's not for. He's not a founder. We have founding fathers. We don't have a founding father.
No, it's like saying, let's say Real Madrid beats Barcelona, and you say Ronaldo is the one who's
like Messi takes the night.
That's a very shallow analysis.
That's what you did. That's what you are doing. Like, don't for an example.
There was a plebiscite.
When you go to South Africa, there are other founders aside Mandela. If you go to India, Mahatma Gandhi was there, and then other founders. Even historians have even ranked, you know, Ambedkar's, you know, achievements more than that of Mahatma Gandhi. And so for me, I think, yes, Nkrumah, you know, led independence and was sure about. There are other people supporting.
There was a plebiscite. And when there was a plebiscite,
George,
there was a comfortable lead.
You know something?
J.B. Dankwa was nowhere close. And he was a founder. There was a plebiscite.
My brother is very
Ghanaians don't care about your rewriting.
You bring in a coach who wins everything. Meanwhile, the previous coach has done all the formalities. He has done everything. For instance, Chelsea, Jose Mourinho. Ranieri did everything. Jose Mourinho came, won trophies. You see, and later he gave credit to Ranieri.
Well, it's a heated argument here. Do you really care about who founded Ghana? While some think it's only Nkrumah, the founder, some also think they are founding fathers and that we are really downplaying some efforts of these founding fathers. Let's know what you think. Just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's News on TV3, and on Twitter, it's our News TV3. Our WhatsApp line is 050-823-523. Just go there and drop your comments, and Johnny Hughes is always ready to read them and share them with the rest of the world.
This is what it feels like.
Take some messages on social media, chat room, WhatsApp. Why didn't they press the button? Let's take a quick break. We'll be back shortly after this.
Welcome back. My guest have already started the conversation. Heritage start this morning and says IFS dissect 2017 media budget and makes key recommendations to government. That's the Daily Heritage. Daily Graphic says nursing schools giving quotas, admissions to go down. Government gives IGP 2-year extension of service and step-up fight against corruption. Professor Ade urges civil society at graphic photo exhibition. The Daily Statesman, President reveals big plan for the Western region, gold refinery at Takwa, fertilizer plant at Jomro. Those are the big plans on the Daily Statesman this morning. And no government interest in who becomes Kenya's president. That's the information minister talking there. The Ghanaian Times, AG to name shame looters of state coffers. A photograph of Mr. Domelevo here. He's the Auditor General. And then President relaunches mass cocoa spraying exercise. Daily Guide, Mahama girl slaps Rawlings like mosquito. That's a story. And 10 excavators burnt in anti-galamsey operation. The Nanado visit, President Nanado visit to Denchirabuase is here. I won't abandon Denchirabuase. The Today says CID to grill more appointees of Mahama. The Finder, JJ is a hypocrite. He sees nothing good in another except himself, charges Valerie Sawyer. Photograph of her, the former president, and Martin Amidu. The Independent says, I never said I will ban mining. President Akufo-Addo talking there. And Togo opens border 24/7. That's a story on the Finder this morning. My guest to do the talking to my extreme left is the communications director of the CPP, Abdul Rauf Kadiri. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're doing great.
Yeah, life could have been better.
And the black, there's a funeral?
Well, in fact, please permit me the opportunity to use this your platform to express my deepest and sincerest condolences to a friend and brother of mine who lost their mother yesterday, Honorable Eric Yabuanate. He contested with Honorable Boniface Abakar Sadiq at the Medina constituency. He works with airport security. In fact, so I'm solidarizing with him. That's why I'm in black.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with you, the spirit, too. Grateful and welcome for the morning. And then a member of the NDC and a legal practitioner, Abraham Maliba, is also here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're great.
I'm fine.
Thank you for your time this morning. And then I have also from the NPP, a member of parliament for the Asin South constituency, Honorable Reverend John Intim Fojo. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Bright.
And I hope you're good.
By God's grace, I'm doing very well.
We're grateful for your time, gentlemen, this morning. Let's start with the Daily Graphic. Nursing schools giving quotas, admissions to go down. The story is saying that public and private institutions accredited to train nurses in Ghana will reduce their intake by almost 1,600 this year. We're told that this is a directive from the Nursing and Midwifery Council to the 75 accredited institutions training nurses in Ghana, including private ones, to admit students in accordance with an earlier discussion. So the issue has been discussed already. We're told that the hardest hit, according to the paper, are public nursing training colleges and the universities offering nursing with a cut in admission figures ranging from 10 to more than 100 in some schools. So they mentioned, for instance, that Ntotroso College of Nursing has its last academic year admission figure of 235 cut to 82. Dunkornofin from 250 to 109. Ho Nursing Training College 183 to 108. Kolebu Nursing and Midwifery Training College 245 to 153. Kwadaso Nursing College 254 to 152. Tamale Nursing Training College 210 to 111. And Keta Nursing and Midwifery Training College 137 to 77. Cape Coast Nursing Training College 229 to 91. University of Cape Coast 100 to 75, University for Development Studies 123 to 97, and University of Health and Allied Sciences 125 to 80. That's the story so far. The other issue is that private universities are not happy. They are saying that as private institutions, they have invested huge sums of money, between 3 and 4 million cedis, in laboratory equipment and other training aids for nursing students. And they pay their lecturers between 3,000 and 8,000. So if you are taking all this cost and they are asking you to admit a limited number of students, this amounts to control. There should be no control in an educational sector where the government does not support you. This is a democratic era, and they should allow private investors to run their businesses. That's the story so far as told by the Daily Graphic. Kadri, let me start with you. This is from the Midwifery and Nursing and Midwifery Council, and this we're told is an agreement that had been arrived at early on at Koforidua after a meeting. We're cutting down admissions. Based on the fact that we need to train our human resource, this should be worrying for us. Should it be?
Yeah, first of all, let me say that the civility of a nation is best measured also by the respect and attention with which you accord to the sick and the aged in society. So it's really something that should cause for worry, in the public domain, where an attempt is being made to cut down the number of nurses trainees in the country. I believe that given the current rate of population of the country, where we are told that the population of Ghana is now somewhere around 27 million. And then in addition to a particular document that I chanced, I read an article not too long ago where it was indicated that even if we were to train, 1,000 nurses or more, we will still have inadequate supply of nurses to match up, the nurse-patient ratio in the country. So I want to...
We're told we need 38,000 nurses and midwives to bridge the nurse-patient ratio. That's from the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives.
So from the statistics that you just shared, clearly you would see that the need for more nurses to be trained in the system, that need exists. So then the question is, what kind of social policy could it be if we are to cut down the number of nurses who are being trained in our country? You have to also bear in mind that training more nurses certainly cannot be something that will be a waste, in the sense that if we are to learn from the experience of Cuba, you'll find that today Cuba even export doctors and nurses to other countries, and they make income out of it. So what is wrong with our system? And I have also made arguments in the past that given the relative political stability of Ghana, if Ghana were to be very strategic in our social policy planning, and were to make Ghana the education hub of West Africa, I believe that we could train every kind of professional in this country. And the people that come to study in Ghana will definitely make money on them. And if we also train our own people, we can export them to other countries within West Africa and then North Africa at large, so we can make money on them. So I do not think that is a good social policy that we should cut. The argument that we have heard is always based on budget. We do not have an employment. We are not able to absorb them. That we have to come out with policies that will make it possible for us to export our nurses to other countries. I've had the opportunity to be in Liberia in several occasions, and even Guinea and then Sierra Leone. You will find that those places, their nurses, they have very inadequate nurses in the system.
Let me ask you this. The health ministry is saying that the country, according to the story in the Daily Graph, the country had been training more nurses than it needed, and that after their training, they are expected to be absorbed into the various health facilities with government paying their salaries. So the Minister of Health is saying that we indeed have more than we need. That's what.
So that's why I'm saying that it even tells you the level of thinking of our policymakers or those who are in authority. We have countries which are very closer to Ghana. I just mentioned Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau, for example, is almost a failed state. They need such professionals. Can't our government go into arrangement where we even export them to those countries and make money on top of that? But unfortunately, we haven't averted our mind to that possibility yet. So I am saying that, and even given the need, go to rural communities in Ghana. When you go to the north, there are still communities. There's a community called Overseas, which is very closer to Wali, where the vice president comes from. A community called Pasenpe. They still need to ride bicycles and cover long distances to take, sick people to hospital, even when a woman is pregnant. And the situation is much heavier when we talk about people who are living with disability when they are pregnant. They have to attend hospital and what have you. You find that it is still clearly a problem. So if you sit in Accra here and you compute statistics, you see that we have more than we really need. But if you want to be able to evaluate the reality on the ground, go to the rural areas and you find that the need is still existent.
I see.
So what do we do as a people? So the position that we would articulate as a political party is that we can never train more nurses. Even if we think that we have more nurses than we really need, let's export them to other countries and make income for our country.
I'm grateful. Reverend, government is saying that the current system or the current quota system There's not a permanent one. And at any time there was a need to train more nurses, government will remove the quota and get more of them trained. Based on what Kadiri from CPP is saying, that why don't you go ahead and train them and export them? What do you think about that?
Good morning, and thank you, Bryce, for for the opportunity given me, and to also say a good morning to our cherished viewers and the viewers doing the viewing from Asin South constituency, and a special good morning to Commander Bacho, the divisional commander of Asin Fosu, and ASP Andam, the district police commander of Asin South. In respect of and also to join Mr. Abdul in expressing our condolences to the families of our departed mother, the mother of Mr. Yeboah, our condolences to you. In respect of the regulation that has been spearheaded by Nursing and Midwifery Council to regulate the number of people that ought to be trained by both private and public institutions, every profession has a body that regulates the education of professionals and activities that surround the profession. And NMC is that legitimate council that is mandated to ensure that the training of health professionals in that specific category is well regulated in a manner that is orderly, in a manner that is strategic and beneficial to the nation. Of course, we all admit and agree that we still have some shortfalls with regards to the health worker to patient ratio.
Right, particularly nurse-patient ratio.
We need
we're told it's 38,000
nursing to patient ratio, doctor to patient ratio. We still have a lot more to do as a nation. It comes down to finances. So fundamentally, much as we all appreciate that, the best thing to do is to so resource the sector such that you have adequate facilities, adequate personnel that are manning the health portfolio to deliver, optimum health services for the good people of Ghana. We also are constrained, just as every economy may have their own constraints. So what happens is that fundamentally you have to plan, prioritize, and then see where to adjust and to plan in a way that will be able to across board optimize all sectors. With unfortunately, the details that will give the adequate grounds on which this regulation came was not very adequate in the story so far.
Right.
We are quite apart from
we're told it was agreed on in Kufuria. That's all we know.
So discussions had gone on.
Right.
Stakeholder engagement had gone on, and a number of factors, I believe, had been considered. I'm sure issues of capacity, even of the various institutions that are training, the capacity and to even train a certain number would also inform the regulation and the quota that were assigned, so that we also check that it's not just the numbers that we want to push through the system, but quality is not compromised. And that factor is also very critical. But again, I agree that if there's a way that we can increase capacity, resource them, and train as many, health professionals as possible, because we already even have a shortfall in terms of the ratio. Before we even look at the SSS, if there are, that we can have a long-term plan. Then, like I agree with Mr. Abdul Rauf, we can exploit other opportunities overseas to see which partnership that are viable that we can form with other jurisdictions to make arrangements for the SSS to the surplus to also be engaged in that. I think we should be also looking at that angle. But the starting point of regulating it and ensuring orderliness is very important. You must start, as a baseline, you must start from somewhere, and then you regulate it, and then come out with quotas that will be commensurate with the various capacities that the private institutions and even the public institutions are training. I mean, on our part, from where we sit, if people are not able to, have admissions after the second cycle institution, there's a lot of pressure. It's on us all,
right.
Particularly when the students have passed their papers and have done so well and have the prospect of, getting into the tertiary. It is worrying. And so I will appeal that we would have to, if this regulation has been accepted by NMC together with engagements with other stakeholders and approved by with approval of Ministry of Health. We need to further look at other options. One, we are in this country, and we all admit again.
Yeah, let me cut in and ask you now. This issue was quite topical during last year's campaign. Your opponent, the NDC, suggesting that you will restore the allowances and cut the admissions. Can we rule that out? That the quota is not being given because government is unable to fund the number of people who get into these nursing schools?
No, we cannot assume on that. That is why I sought for the basis. So I cannot provide that basis that informed the discussions that went around the table to arrive at this decision. But my concern here is that we have a phenomenon where a lot more people are being trained in the services sector, being trained for in marketing, in administration, in humanities, and then we acknowledge that there is a need to strengthen the education of the technical engineering, the allied and health sciences, to ensure that we can, going forward, we'll have a well-balanced economy where, because actually it is very cheap to set up an institution to train people of humanities and administration background because of the logistics requirement, the laboratories that you will have to set up if it's a nursing or medical or an engineering institution. And that is where I feel that the Ministry of Education and National Council for Tertiary Education will have to engage stakeholders and investors in coming up with packages that will serve as incentives for people that will have to be trained in the technical, engineering, the health and sciences, so that year on year we will not just be having a lot more, even though, I mean, in most economies, the services sector is always a larger one, requiring more people to be trained in there. Then we can also be looking at the health sector and have a strategic plan. And now, as we are planning, we will know the capacity of the country to absorb a certain number of health workers that are trained year on year. And then, as we plan, how do we ensure that this number is trained? How do we ensure that the SSS are managed? How do we even ensure that we can churn out something productive out of the surpluses? And those who may, in a way, be disenfranchised in getting into nursing training institutions, what alternatives do we have for them? So these are the concerns that I have, that as a society, we need to take a look at. But it's a very important regulation, starting from this point, so that we regulate and we know that we have planned for this number of people. We have planned for them, so they come in and there are no issues. And we can cater for their employment and all that. Yes, and their clearances will not have to be outstanding for 6 years, 5 years, and then when you see all this picketing going on. And also to mark that, this year, 11,000 clearance has been given for the employment of 11,000 nurses, which I think are fine. All right, I'm grateful.
Mr. Malba, so we're not told the basis. The Nurse and Midwifery Council of Ghana says that they had discussions in Kofodia. They had discussions. That's all that we're told. And Daily Graphic chanced on this story. He just said that it is good to use the quota system so that employing them will not be a difficulty. What do you think about these?
Let me say good morning to your viewers and say that if this policy is implemented, clearly it is going to worsen the nurse-patient ratio. Now, I heard you indicate that, I don't know whether it's a minister or it's anybody.
The spokesperson of the Ministry of Health.
The spokesperson, yes.
Mr. Robert Kuju.
Good. I don't know why government appointees cannot be candid to the people of this country.
How do you say that?
No, you heard that
NMC is government appointee. Huh? There's a policy that is guided by NMC.
He's talked about the PRO of the ministry.
Yes, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Health.
I don't know why government appointees cannot be candid. You heard the Minister of Agri say that they've eliminated the army worm, when farmers on the ground said no, it is still in existence. Now, take what they are saying now. They want to reduce intake. and you ask the question, is it true that all our hospitals have nurses to the extent that when you get to the hospitals, you won't find a nurse doing 3 or 4 people's work? Yeah. And yet, you have a government appointee, official, telling us that we have so many nurses that we don't need to train more.
Yeah, that's what the health ministry is saying.
That is where they are not being candid. Go to the area he talks about. You'll find that there's only one nurse who may be doing 3 or 4 people's work. And then you come and say that, oh, Ghana, we do. The reports indicate that we have 1 nurse to 1,251 patients. So, when has the ministry breached this gap? And now they are telling us that we have more nurses. They should tell us. At what point did they breach the gap? And now it means that we don't need to train more. That's why this policy is being introduced. You'll be surprised to know that even at the time they were taking those intake, at the time they were taking the 210, and it has now been, yes, and it has been slashed to 111 for the Tamale nursing school, for example. You'll be surprised to know that that was even another cutoff, because so many people will have applied, but the schools will not be able to absorb all of them, and they'll cut them to these numbers. You are further cutting down the numbers, and you are telling us that, oh, Ghana, we have a lot of nurses that we don't need them. Can you imagine? When communities are crying for nurses, cheap compounds are crying for nurses, and then because you are a government appointee, you think you are wiser than all of us. Empirically, we go to the hospitals. Empirically, we go to the clinics, and we see how there's so much work for the nurses. I think that the bottom line for this cutoff is what you intimated, which is what? The NPP campaigned on the basis that they were going to restore nurses' allowances. Now, they didn't know they were going to win the elections. They've won the elections. There's now reality check. They've seen that they are unable to pay these nurses' allowances. So what will they do? Whereas we argue that let's take off the allowances and then we can get more people to train because we want to cut down on the ratio. Their argument is that no, you can still train all of this and then still pay the allowances. They have come. They've realized that it is not possible to pay all these allowances. So what they've done is to cut off or cut down on the number of people who enter the training colleges so that they can meet their campaign promise of restoring the nurses' allowance.
That is not a very...
No, Ref.
Reverend, I get you in. You allow him to go.
I
get you in.
very uncomfortable when you were talking.
Really?
But, yes. But I had to restrain myself.
Okay, you go on.
So, day in, day out, this government keeps changing the goalposts. On every promise they've made, they have changed the goalposts. They have tinkered with the promise they've given to the people of this country. That led to their victory. And now they are doing their own things. You said you were going to employ Ghanaians, give them jobs. You heard the senior minister yesterday, even threatening to remove people from their workplaces, that they will cut down on employment. After he has gotten his son to be at National Community Authority.
He said he will enable the private sector to employ them. That's what he meant.
Has he got an industry? He himself, what industry has he built? Osafo, tell us.
No, he's not.
I am saying that it is wrong. You see, let's not allow politicians to do what they want. You come and promise to the people, and then when they vote you in, you do something else. I'm annoyed this morning.
No, don't get annoyed. You cannot said that this is not permanent, and that when we needed,
you cannot deceive the people. You generally should help people like us to hold the government accountable. You said one thing, you are doing another thing. Why are you doing that? Haven't you deceived the people? I think that we should not tolerate some of these acts by politicians at all. Because now, any politician who goes out there to speak, they say you are a liar because of the antecedents of some people. We cannot all be lumped together.
I mean,
I think that
you have said the antecedent yourself.
if the government promised that he was going to restore allowances, that is what the government should do. But cutting down on the intake has a rippling effect on the health delivery system.
Let me see. I'll come, Reverend, I'll come to, but let me see if the CPP thinks same about this issue, because the story says that this could be linked to the promises made on these nursing training allowances in the build-up to the 2016 elections. Is that what the CPP thinks too? That government is unable to pay all the allowances, and so cut down the numbers so that you can pay?
Yes, certainly. If you are going to put it within the context of logic, it is telling. It's quite obvious. That mainly is the driver. But over and above that, I just think, as I said earlier, that it doesn't speak well of a good policy if we are to cut down the numbers, because I had made an attempt to draw best practices from other jurisdictions where, for example, I cited Cuba, saying that after more than 50 years of economic blockade, they were able to, still build one of the best medical systems in the world, to the point where they were even exporting, nurses and doctors to other parts of the world just to make income. So I am saying, therefore, that it is not a good policy. So if whether government is doing that as a smart way of obliterating his electoral promise or what have you, I do not think it is a good policy. We think that the government should expand the facilities so that more people who want to be nurses will be trained, so that we can help redress the inequities within the health
about one nurse
delivery
of 425 hours in the country.
Reverend,
you seem to disagree.
Yeah, it is very important that in looking at discussing this issue, we don't just scratch the surface, but we engage in a detailed, in-depth analysis of this policy. If politicians are to speak the way Lawyer Maliba is speaking, then his concern that the public confidence in politicians will keep deteriorating. Because we have to be circumspect and be objective and look at what the real issues are. The issue is not just about cutting down 1,600 intakes just to be able to accommodate nursing training allowances, 1,600. The real issues are getting nurses, trainees who are fully trained, getting them placed at the workplaces. For the past 8 years, how many nurses training who had been trained did the NDC employ? And they will acknowledge that fundamentally it was due to government priority on the backdrop of financial lack of funding, adequate funding that were available to resource that sector. That is why come you will have people who be trained for 6 years, 8 years, 5 years, and they have still not been able to earn clearance to be employed. Reverend, so it is not just about and to state the fact clear.
I wanted to read a paragraph in of the story.
I would allow that, but just to state the fact clear that the NPP President Akufo-Addo government has not taken any U-turn at any of the promises contained in our manifesto. We are consistent with the implementation. When we talk about free SHS, when we talk about the health sector, when we talk about one district, one factory, when we talk about one constituency, 1 million. So I'm just expecting to hear one single policy that has been distorted.
Won't this be a logical deduction or the necessary
No, but it cannot be a logical deduction that cutting down 1,600 is because we want to avoid the payment of the funding.
Let me read.
Want to avoid the payment of allowance.
Let me read this paragraph to you. Now, let
us look at the system, the economy, and then we know the number of people. Fundamentally, the fact that over the years, that ratio that is a deficit. The ratio of nurse to patient ratio, the doctor to patient ratio has left us a huge deficit. It's because as a nation we haven't been able to allocate resources enough to absorb. Yes, but we all admit. And that NDC was in power for 8 years. What did Lawyer Maliba's government do to employ the people to fill that gap?
And that's why we are empowered now. And that's why I want to quote this to you.
And that's why I'm saying that we must start from somewhere and plan holistically.
The story is saying that
the people that are being trained, whilst you are making arrangements for them, you also want to look at making arrangement for the SSS.
I think that government
so argument be politicized.
Okay,
it's not an issue that we politicize.
Government argument
this is a health issue. That's very
employment. it's also captured by the story. The story, the paragraph is saying that Mr. Robert Kudu, the health ministry spokesman, is saying that the issue of bonding of students, which made it compulsory for them to serve the nation for some years before they were released, had been cancelled, and that new students had been told that they were not automatically entitled to jobs. Now, this is the story. Now, if government concern was absorbing the numbers, and now that the bonding has been cancelled, then the students after training will have to find their own avenues of employment. Should government be worried about how many we train in terms of how we can absorb them?
Brad, can I make intervention?
Put that one down. I want Reverend to ask him. I'll come to you. We should still be worried about it. No, that's for the fact that they are no more bonded and they can go anywhere to get jobs.
As a government, it is the responsibility of government to ensure that national policies are planned, and you run the national policy with manpower. Manpower planning is also very important, and that is the reason why in every jurisdiction there are every profession is regulated by a body, and it sets clearly the ceiling for the number of people to be admitted in certain programs, and it's done everywhere.
Right.
So that one is not a new.
Right. I thought Reverend will even shy away from talking about employment of nurses.
If you bring it on, I will respond. Bring it on, I will respond.
Because that area doesn't look good for them. What did they promise the nurses who were trained and were not having jobs under the NDC? What did they tell them? What did they tell them?
About 16,000.
There are nurses at the moment. There are nurses at the moment.
Clearance has been given for 11,000.
There are nurses at the moment.
How many did you employ?
Bright. Didn't we employ nurses?
I'm asking you to give me the figure. How many came over?
What is the problem?
We will allow him to go. Mr. Amala, please.
Bright. You see, they promise these nurses, and we are all in this country. We hear the picketing that takes place at the ministries, and when the voice pop, when you listen to them, they tell the people of Ghana that the MPP told them they were going to employ them, and that's why they are picketing. And so, if you sit on national television as a rep of the MPP government, and you say that it is because we cannot absorb the people. That's why there's a cut-off.
Have I said something?
That's what you said. No, it's because they cannot absorb them when they are they complete.
No.
Then you are being unfair to the people. You are being unfair to the people.
Don't misquote me.
You are being unfair.
Lawyer, don't misquote me. Don't misquote me.
I think what he's saying is that
when I'm talking,
the policy should be shaped with the human resource. So this is what the number government will need, and this is how we should control who gets into the training institution. I think that's the point.
I am saying that you promise these unemployed nurses that you employ them. Is it true or false? It is true. You have come and you are citing the inability to employ them as a reason for cutting down intake. That's the argument I'm making, which is very clear. And I'm saying that you are being unfair to those you hoodwink to vote for you. That is why voters are beginning to think that this government is a deceitful government and has not been, contrary
to that,
would you make
viewers
I'll
get him.
The government is not being candid with them. I just asked the question. When you were campaigning and then you made a point that the NDC was not employing people, and we said that, look at the hospitals we are building, look at the CHIPS compound, look at the regional hospitals we are building. This is where the nurses will go. This is when the nurses will go. You said no. The fact that they were unemployed, when you come, you are going to employ them en masse. So for you to then say that it is appropriate that they cut down on the unemployment because they cannot take them when they complete school, they cannot. Look, I know the Tamale Hospital very well. At the moment, the Tamale Hospital is understaffed. Tamale Teaching Hospital is understaffed. And you say that there are a lot of nurses.
So why did the NDC employ?
Can you come in?
Let come in before we
Can you tell this reverend that? What did you tell this reverend that?
What did you do?
The message is that
what did you do?
Let's take away the NDC.
How many
and bring
did you employ
to salvage the situation? Don't be going back.
And we have come. And in 7 months,
and what
we
are
have
you
given clearance for 11,000.
What are you doing? You are cutting down.
Gentlemen, let me get
we have come from just 7 months.
You are cutting down on
11,000.
the number of people who are going to training colleges.
And I'm telling
and you are saying that you are doing what you are
employ the nurses.
We employ them.
Gentlemen,
my argument was actually to
quickly. Yes, Johnny is with us.
Reference mind to the fact that even though ideally the argument that he was making, that's the ideal argument, but that is not the reality on the ground.
Okay.
So, for example, the way that he's speaking, assuming that before the election, when we started and we're making discussion, if he were to speak the way that he just spoke, you think that they would have gotten the support of the nurses?
Which way? Which way?
Okay. No, I'm just saying that, like,
Johnny, you some comment for us.
I'm saying that that's the ideal argument.
Must be employed.
I'm saying that
even the backlog must be
surprising.
And then
I'm saying that the way you argued it, if you were to argue that way before the election, you think that you are
let's check out some of Johnny Hughes come in quickly. Then we'll come back.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Johnny, good morning once again.
Good morning. Thank you very much, dear Bright. Lots and lots of them. And I'm sure we can stop sending them in from the control room now so we can flow with them. It says, good morning, Teresa. I like your show this morning. Kuku Johnny, God bless you. We'll talk about that later on. But it says, Nanaya Osafuma for Park. After employing your 2 sons as deputy director at SNIT and deputy director at NCA, you're telling the unemployed graduates who believed in the hashtag 419 MPP campaign message of employing all graduates that what? Government can't employ into the public sector. In fact, the cane that will be used to cane this dishonest MPP government is being soaked in kerosene until 2020. Hashtag Ghana deserves better. And good morning, TV3. Well, Bright spoke earlier. We'll talk about that one. Good morning, TV3. There will always be unemployment problems unsolved in this country if we don't allow people to go on retirement at 60. And if we claim because of projects they started, then they shouldn't have been a change of government. Kofi Whiteman, I'm sure you are referring to the IGP. Non-content. If dry bones come to life, then I encourage you not to give up in the name of Jesus Christ. Okay, I don't know which one you're talking about, but Allah Subhanahu says, despite the inherited huge debt from the past administration, Nana Akufo-Addo's government has put in place many measures to create jobs and drive development. Adoption is a very good thing, you say. Thank you very much. And Abu Finance from Lambusi in Upper West says, I pray and hope that things change in this country. It looks as if we are hoping against hope. It could also be the case that Justice Atuguba gets appointed as Chief Justice and later be given 2 or 3 years extension. Let them consider their party faithful first in terms of job before any other persons. 2020, we go show now. And good morning, Bright and Johnny. We love your show. This is Ashale from Mimpasa. The government should look at the direction of IT to solving not only this towing brouhaha, but the perceived police corruption on our roads. Simply integrating driver's license and roadworthy certificates with valid and operational financial accounts of individuals cannot do the trick. This way, drivers whose vehicles are towed for breakdown, as well as those who break down regularly, regulations can be automatically charged. Richard from Iswam. Good morning to your viewers. I don't think why day out is either Galamsey issues and killing of innocent people. Was this government purposely put in power to only deal with Galamsey? Meanwhile, senior minister said no jobs for Ghanaian people, even though they promised. But MPP government should know that Ghanaians are very mindful of all that is happening, and by year 2020, they'll be voted out. Good morning. How can Osafo Mafo make such comments about employment? Did we vote for private sector to give us employment? He was asking. The Galamsey fire should continue unabated, and even if that would make us lose the next election and for us to have a clean source of water for human consumption, I think God will be extremely happy with us. Thank you very much. Michael Amin in the UK says, this bombshell and the outburst made against former President J.J. Rawlings by Valerie Sawyer, who former Chief of Staff under former President Mahama, is very unfortunate, and this shows the severity of the cracks within the front of the NDC, and this may degenerate to deepen the internal crisis, you say. Thank you very much. Good morning. Please, I'm a concerned citizen living in Bolga. There's no single traffic light in the whole municipality, and it's a pity to ride in and out. And good morning, Bright and your pundits. It's obvious MPP truly lied their way to power, because looking at how things are going currently in this country, I can clearly tell you that this government is very confused and incapable of delivering on its promises. Dr. Baumia always gives us true State of the Nation address, even in opposition, it means they knew more about the economy before giving us these promises. So what's their problem now? And the arrogance at which they put their statements to our faces is very annoying. God save us. I'm simple from Cantonment. Wow. Laying people off and employing family and friends. MPP is just a chameleon government. Tony Dodo. And finally, Osafo Mafo is the senior minister. The son has been employed to Cocoa Board as deputy CEO. He should lay off his son first. 2020 is just at the corner. Let people go on retirement at 40. If we, and this for you gentlemen, he says, let people go on retirement at 40. If we are not employment creative, we will continue to suffer employment the more. Yusuf, a.k.a. Vim from Amobi. Right. You support the 40-year?
All right, John, we're grateful. All right, we're grateful. Let's quickly wrap up on the IGP who's been given a contract for 2 years. Kadiri, let me take your thought on that. We're told that the IGP now gets another 2-year contract. That's the finder story. This means that the IGP will retire in August 2019. He was appointed to the position in acting capacity in January when President Nana-Addo resumed office and later confirmed 2 more years for him. What do you make of it?
Well, clearly, you know, the report hasn't given us details, the basis as to why this particular decision was taken by the president. But if we are to do a cursory, you know, analysis, it is easy for us to infer that perhaps maybe he has a certain quality that the president likes. The president wants to tap into his administration. So I wouldn't want to start by condemning it. Just that I was really intrigued when I heard one of the persons that sent text that if we want to widen the employment net of the country, then we have to get people to go on retirement so that other people would come into the frame. But with the idea of the, and I also, in fact, before I even came, I was discussing this issue with somebody, and that person said, oh, as for the IGP, he's a very good friend of the president, and for that matter, you know, it is understandable why the president would extend his tenure, which is okay. My belief is that if he has a competence, he has the experience, given his profile that has been read to us, if he has a competence to do the work and the president thinks that he can add him additional 2 years, there is nothing illegal about it. I think that it is not going to be a bad idea. That is just the view that I would express on this matter.
Mr. Amaliba, Mr. David Asante-Apietu has 2 more years to go.
I think this is not the first time. Paul Tewia Kwe, he retired honorable. He did not extend his term, or his term was not extended. But I think Mohammed Al-Hassan
too had it.
Then Kudalo too had it. This one, we have not been told why the extension. I know Mohammed Al-Hassan, they said that, like the texter said, there was this police community policing that he had brought into the system, so they needed him to make it have a sound grounding. The government said that he had started some police visibility, apart from the community policing, police visibility, and so they needed him to stay on to give finishing touches to it. But on this one, we have not been told why the appointment has been extended. But be that as it may, the buck stops with the president. So today, there's so much insecurity. I don't blame the IGP. I say, look, he's a president. So if he thinks that the IGP has performed well, looking at the situation, and he thinks that he has performed well, apart from protecting invisible forces from some acts that they are engaged in, they should continue. They should carry on.
Can be avoided.
They should carry on. I think that the good people of Ghana know that we need to be more secured. You find day in, day out, people being killed here and there are calls for the police to step up to the game. I think that now that he has got 2 more years, he would begin to put his foot down and ensure that he provides the much needed security that the people of this country need.
Grateful. Reverend.
Yeah, I must congratulate IGP, Mr. David Asante-Apietu, for the extension given him. And as I agree with my colleagues, this is not the first time that by dint of good leadership and diligent service, an IGP's term would have to be extended in the best interest of stability to ensure that the police service goes on and functions very well. When as politicians, when we talk and we want to rope in propaganda at the least opportunity, we must also appreciate that there are a host others out there who see beyond the propaganda and look for the facts. When you're lumping insecurity at the president and all that, they know, and the available statistics show clearly that crime rate has reduced and it's declining. It's on the decline.
In this country,
yes. Crime rate is on the decline, and you have to check it. So the fact that there were few notable
government officials,
you have your chance. You have your chance. You have your chance to say. You have your chance. So the fact that there were some notable happenings that are of concern, which the police administration is on top, which I always refrain from trying to play, when somebody tries to paint a picture that there's been high insecurity in the country and the 7 months of President Akufo-Addo, I just don't even want to go in to compare some levels of insecurity even that led to the murder of even a certain member of parliament. But these are not healthy debates we want to rope in here. But I would want to commend on Mr. IGP, Mr. David Asiedu-Dartey. This is a man that is venerable, whose services in the Ghana Police Service and even in the international front has been distinguished. He was previously the Director General of the Ghana CID. And he was also the Director General of Research, at the Ghana Police Service. He had been engaged in 2007 at the Interpol headquarters in Lyon, France, as the Director of Special Crime Analysis. So, and he has also taught in UN envoys and institutions in Europe and other international assignments that he had excelled. He led an investigation portfolio in Liberia, in the homicide. And let us remember that there was an era where Ghana was bedeviled with this serial killing of women. About 30 women were murdered. He was the man who championed the investigation until the culprit was apprehended and prosecuted. So if honorable lawyer is not aware of the merits, the basis, the credentials on which it is important that for the stability of the leadership of the Ghana Police Service, Mr. David Asiedu-Dartey's tenure has to be extended, then this is the information. And also to add, that
Reverend,
contrary to the impression that he's a friend of the president, let us look at the merits.
I'm grateful for your time. Reverend, that's how time would allow. Honorable Reverend Jordan Tim Fordon is a member of parliament for the Asin South constituency, a member of the NPP. Brahma Maliba is a legal practitioner, member of the NDC. Raus Hadiri is a communication director of the CPP. Gentlemen, I have wrapped up the show. Grateful for your time this morning. Thanks so much for your comment. And those of you who stayed out there to be part of the show, we're also grateful for sending your comment. Keep them coming. There is more for us on the show. Stay with us. We're back in a moment.
Should we even be talking about fertilizers now, where we can be looking at genetically modified foods or not even growing them with fertilizer at all, because there's an health implication? There's a debate and there's a documentary on that. We have Portia Gabo with this documentary. Let's take a watch of this.
Asiedu-Dartey is a 65-year-old farmer practicing organic agriculture. Animal droppings from poultry and cattle on his farm give him the opportunity to transform waste into organic fertilizers.
With chemical fertilizer, the plants grow rapidly, flows and blooms well. But when, unfortunately, the rain stops, then you are in trouble. I mean, the plant starts scorching gradually. Unlike the organic fertilizer, that even when the rain stops somewhere, they are able to survive.
Organic fertilizers contain plant or animal-based materials that are either a byproduct or end product of naturally occurring processes such as manures, leaves and compost, while chemical fertilizers are manufactured artificially and contain minerals or synthetic chemicals. Despite having large tracts of land, decades of agricultural abuse has taken a toll on the soil in Ghana, depleting important nutrients and killing off bacteria and fungi that create organic material essential to plants. The perception these days is that if you don't add fertilizer to the soil before planting, you may end up with low yield. Organic or chemical fertilizers, which one is good for farmers here in Ghana to use? And is it true that chemical fertilizers have an effect on soil fertility? Well, farmers here at Abokobi want agricultural experts to come out with a clean-cut policy and some research on the use of fertilizers in the country.
So that in tomato growing area.
Reverend Dr. Duajiman is a beneficiary of the Planting for Food program. He just started adding chemical fertilizers to increase the yield on his farm.
It boosts the yield, but continued use of the chemical fertilizer depletes the soil and make the soil become acidic. People want good health, so they'll go for the organic produce. But here, they wouldn't bother you that this organic or this inorganic, you see.
So what is the rationale for distributing chemical fertilizer?
The soils that we have in our country or in all countries, once you continue cropping on it for a long period, the soil is depleted of organic material. So it's two things. How to get the organic material back into the soil is the question. So you can do that by getting organic matter. But the unavailability of organic material to put back to the soil, to rejuvenate it, for it to be able to support crop production. That is why now we go in for the inorganic fertilizer.
So I asked if chemical fertilizers are indeed harmful to the soil.
Some scientific evidence show the use of chemical inputs in our production of food leads to some residues. These residues accumulate in the body and then cause troubles. The use of fertilizer, for example, on soils, there's leaching. Part of the fertilizer is not taken up by the crop. It gets into the water systems and it may get into our municipal water systems, and if the treatment is not good, it ends up in our systems.
So, organic or chemical fertilizers, what should be the way forward for Ghanaian farmers?
It's a balancing act. I don't think there's anything wrong with combining them. Even with the scientific evidence that the inorganic causes problems, it is about the extent of use and how persistently it's used.
Ghana government is a policy that we should try and see how to do organic farming, because that is the best. But in the absence of getting the organic material to replenish the soil, you cannot stop farming. So quickly you have to put in inorganic material, that is the fertilizer.
Welcome back and thank you very much. So the conversation on fertilizers will continue. In the meantime, let's say a happy birthday to you, Mrs. Setina Finwalker. That's from Reverend James Finwalker of Northgate Baptist Church in Winneba, and from your children as well, Christabel, Jeffrey, Papa Kwechiri. God bless you. They say remain the best mom and wife that you are, from Babina Finwalker here at TV3 as well. And to you, Mr. Titus Hughes, my nephew, happy birthday to you. But yesterday we caught up with the Order of the Star of the Volta recipient and one who saw the foundation of the UGCC, the United Party, and the NPP, Mr. Joshua Atokwashi, and he had his thoughts about the Founders' Day debate. Take a watch. Hello, my name is Johnny Hughes. I've got with me here a fine gentleman who is a founding father, in fact, one of the founding fathers of the United Party, UP Party, which gave rise to the formation of the New Patriotic Party, the NPP. And he also saw the formation of the United Gold Coast Convention. He is a national awardee of the Order of the Star of the Vault. I give you Mr. Joshua Atokwashi. Hello, sir.
Thank you.
That's a very firm handshake.
By His grace.
That's a firm handshake.
Well, by the grace of Almighty.
For a man who's close to 100, how do you stay fit?
Well, it is the grace of God. It's a gift.
Something you drink?
Oh, nothing
something
special.
You do?
Jesus, who is the Son of God, just spent nearly 30-something years on earth. So if someone lives longer than Jesus, God has a purpose for it. But I do not know.
What do you think is your purpose on this earth, politically?
Well, I cannot say much about my own destiny because the destiny belongs to the Almighty.
Right.
So day to day, I'm just like Kolinko. When he asks me to dance like this, I'll dance like that. Though he gave me common sense to govern myself while on the earth. But yet, I had a belief also that whatever I can do, or as questions were put into me, answers will come from God.
You saw the formation of the UGCC.
Yes.
How old were you then?
I was in my early 30s.
Early 30s?
Yes.
What was the story back then? Because there's been a lot of different accounts. What was the story back then?
The story is one, and one alone. Only we, the Ghanaians, don't want to speak the truth.
Tell us the truth.
There was a great man in this country whom the whole nation must bow down before him. By the name Bar Grant. How he got inspiration to gather the people from the west to the south, the north, and the east, only God knows. That this man, being a great merchant at his days, had his own vision. That time has come, as the speech he made, which is with you.
Right.
Time has come for political positive action. Say Bar Grant. And he gathered all the prominent people politically, socially in the country to come together to fight for one front. And I'm so surprised that every year we talk about funding day, we talk about this and that, and people don't make bold to speak about this Bar Grant. I wonder why.
What have you been thinking about?
Because Gokos, as I know, shifted from the training. We had natural training and also the British training to speak the truth. Just about 3rd of this month, I think particular TV shows people arguing or debating on the nurses strike with the NDC representative, Kola fellow. And they were discussing things. And the gentleman said he don't agree with the special branch or the police accusing somebody of stealing bins. When they ask him how you get the bins and riding in bins. If the person get facts about it, he should prosecute the person.
Right.
But you shouldn't say. But that is, it's unfortunate.
Why is it unfortunate?
Yes, for Ghanaians to say so.
Evidence matters.
The training which British people give to us, even the private cocoa buyer, if he's putting on a building, CID, Special Branch, BNI, Military Intelligence, everyone got authority to question his whereabouts, getting the funds. That was the training which British people taught us. But today, you are saying if you get evidence, you can prosecute, than to inquire how he gets the thing. The right thing is to ask you where you get the money. I know, I don't want to embarrass some family, but we know some family who are private cocoa buyers who were caught and sentenced to prison. You see, because British people trained us to be more transparent.
Right.
In our,
and you don't see that now? You don't see the transparency now?
Now useless.
Even under President Akufo-Addo?
Akufo-Addo is doing worse things. Because Akufo-Addo, I was expecting to discharge something better for the nation, has failed completely.
It's just early days yet. It's about 7-8 months into the government.
Early days? What do you mean by early days?
It's just 8 months into his government.
Do you know the gas, the Fantis? They say agrobesoa. What do they end up? Agrobesoa. Flowing anapa. If someone, he say if you are journeying for 1,000 miles, you start from 1. So I don't see the reason why Ghanaians folding their hands like this. If a minister is delivering a speech and telling lies, your disapproval is to hoot at him, not to throw stone. But your right is to hoot at him, disapprove of what he was saying. Today, that thing has vanished. It was the British training for ordinary man to express his views.
Right.
Today, that has vanished. People come to the television, people go to places and talk rubbish, telling lies upon lies upon lies. You don't see God-fearing people at all in the country. If you fear God, your doings will show that you fear God.
Let's talk about, and which is why I'm interested in what you're talking about. Now, on the 4th of August,
yes,
we had a public lecture,
yes,
addressed by the Speaker of Parliament, a very astute politician, historian, and a pastor as well, who spoke about the fact that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah cannot be the founder of this country, and that's an element of propaganda. What is the true story? Who founded Ghana?
Pa Grant.
Not J.B. Dankwa?
No. J.B. was called by Pa Grant to join the fold. So Pa Grant is the only one.
So he's the man who founded Ghana?
Not, you mean independent or...
No, we've been looking for the founder, who the founder is. You know, there's been an argument about founder with apostrophe S and founders with S apostrophe.
Who made the research?
Exactly.
To know where the Ghana word come from. That is what you're after. Right. That was the J.B. Dankwa. He made that research. But bringing people together to fight for independence, that was the problem.
So who do we give the credit to? Is it J.B. Dankwa, Pa Grant, or Dr. Kwame Nkrumah?
Kwame Nkrumah don't mention, he's not among them.
What, he came to lead he broke away from the UGCC, formed the CPP. In fact, he had a very last meeting with Pa Grant on his sickbed in 1956.
It's a disgrace to mention Kwame Nkrumah because Kwame Nkrumah has no contribution on constitution to serve government. Really? What contribution? Have you come across any contribution by Kwame Nkrumah? He was not among the people who draft the constitution. People who build the car know how to drive the car. They know the implications of car driving. Nkrumah condemned the constitution, and if because he's not a bold man to face prison terms, he created unnecessary constitutional means marching to serve government. Okay. You talk about people who fought for
independence.
Yes. You can say Pa Grant, number 1. Number 2, Dr. J.B. Dankwa and Ubeche Bilanti in the Legislative Council, where they draft the constitution, debate on it. And Nkrumah condemned it. This is not a story.
Okay.
The historians in this country are cowards.
Why do you think they are cowards?
The intellectuals in this country are cowards. the native rulers, they are most corrupt and useless.
So I'm a bit confused at this point.
Yes.
What is the actual story? Because what we read in our history books is different from what you're telling us now. The history books that we know that mentions the big six.
I don't blame people who read the history and then tell the people, because it's been written, whether it was true or not. A schoolboy can learn that one.
Right.
And misled the schoolboy by telling the lies instead of truth.
Okay.
This is something we have to bring it back to the old system. Speak the truth. As Proverbs chapter 23, verses 23. Say, buy the truth and sell it not.
This story about who founded Ghana, you know that the late President Mills, bless his soul, under his regime, the late Professor Mills, that day, the 21st of September, has been celebrated as a holiday, marked as a holiday for more than 3 times. So it's become a national holiday. And if all things go the way they have gone, this year we'll mark that again. You think that is a wrong thing that was done?
Absolutely wrong.
So when should we celebrate?
I'm not the only oldest person in this country. There are more oldest people. Professor Amfrom, KB Asante, Odwe Sais, H.O. Lamte, VC, ARC, Crab.
Right.
There are a lot of age people in this country who will agree with me that all the circumstances point out their finger to Pa Grant as the only founder of independence. People fought, you follow, Sechi, Ataoma and others from, but they fought little by little. But the one who brought the real physical challenge was Pa Grant.
The 1948 disturbances, for example, following which there was the CPP, that would be the apogee of the struggle for independence. Is that so?
Yes.
Now, if that is so, and that was championed by Dr. Nkrumah.
Champion what way?
Was that not championed by Dr. Nkrumah?
How? Does Nkrumah know something about the positive action, the looting? He knew nothing about looting. If you can talk about the looting, you talk about the people who wrote a petition to the ex-servicemen, like Obeche Bilante, who followed them to the Castle Junction, who saw the Emily shot, and then he challenged him. Say, Emily, you shot? He said, yes. He said, who authorized you? He said, Captain Ballantyne. And he took the note. Contact Dr. Dankwa, contact Pa Grant, and they sent petition to Home Office. And then that made the British people send colonial secretary by name Oliver Littington into this country.
So what role did Kwame Nkrumah play in the struggle for independence?